Imagine being a simple secretary sent to solve a problem in another country. And when you get there, everyone treats you like the company's CEO. You try to explain, but something stops you. The respect, the looks, the power. What would you do? Would you tell the truth or take the chance to prove yourself? Ana Torres never imagined that such an absurd mistake could become the biggest opportunity of her life. But amid intrigue, secrets, and an unexpected romance, she discovers that the business world is as unpredictable as it is dangerous. How long can she keep up the charade before everything falls apart? Don't let go of the screen, because the outcome of this story will defy all your expectations. The plane rocked slightly as it crossed the Atlantic, and Ana Torres looked out the window, trying to hide her nervousness. The cabin lights were off, and the low growl of the engine created a constant melody. She was tightly gripping her company badge, which now seemed to weigh more than ever. Why me? A secretary sent to solve problems in Barcelona? He thought, while trying to make some sense of the situation. Well, at least I got an international trip, she muttered to herself, trying to see the positive side. But doubt continued to haunt his mind. What will I do if something goes wrong? They should have sent someone more prepared. Upon landing in Spain, Ana took a deep breath and squeezed the shoulders of her backpack. In the lobby, a driver held a sign that said, Mrs. Martins. Mrs. Martins? No, I'm Ana. There must be some mistake, she said, trying to explain. But the driver just smiled and opened the car door. At the very least, they have the wrong last name. It can't be a big deal, he muttered, getting into the car. On the way to the branch headquarters, Ana observed the streets of Barcelona with a mixture of fascination and concern. The old buildings contrasted with the modernity of the city, and she couldn't decide whether she felt more lost or amazed. If I survive this, maybe I'll have some good stories to tell. Upon arriving at the company's imposing building, Ana barely had time to process the modern architecture before being greeted by an entire team of employees. Welcome, Mrs. Martins, they exclaimed, accompanied by smiles and warm greetings. Her eyes widened, but before she could explain her mistake, she was taken to an elevator surrounded by a whirlwind of voices. Mrs. Martins, we have sushi and wine for lunch. If you prefer, we can order something more personalized, said a young woman in an impeccable suit. Another woman came in with a box of makeup. Your lipstick shade is perfect, but a touch-up never hurts. Ana tried to speak, but the barrage of attention left her speechless. Upstairs, the conference room was packed with executives. What now? She thought, while a receptionist announced, Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor that I present our CEO, Clara Martins. The applause that followed was deafening. Ana froze. What would she do? Let everyone know it was a mistake or try to adapt? With a deep sigh, she walked to the center of the room, holding a microphone someone handed her. Good morning, everyone, he began with a nervous laugh. I'm sure they expected something more CEO from me. A murmur of soft laughter passed through the room, and Ana felt the tension ease. Remembering all the reports she transcribed in the office, she began to improvise. I believe leadership is like learning to cook. You burn a few pots at first, but eventually you serve up a decent dish. Our company, fortunately, is already at the decent dish stage. The laughter became more sincere, and she began to feel more confident. Miguel Costa, the operations director, crossed his arms and smiled at the back of the room. Interesting approach, he muttered. When she finished, Ana received applause and praise. As he walked off the stage, still not believing what he had done, Miguel approached. Mrs. Martins, it was a unique speech, I must say. Your style is refreshing. Thank you, Ana replied, trying to hide her anxiety. I just go with the flow. While the applause still echoed in the hall, Ana looked around, trying to process the confusion and unexpected success. I need to get out of this, before they realize that the flow is pure desperation. Anna walked down the stairs of the building, still processing what had happened. Deep down, she knew she needed to clarify everything, but something was stopping her. That reception, the applause. This has never happened to me before, he thought, as he adjusted his backpack on his shoulder. The only problem was Miguel Costa, the operations director, who seemed too intrigued by his leadership style. "So, Mrs. Martins, how can we optimize the sustainability project?" asked Miguel, catching up with her in the hallway. Anna froze for a second, trying to think of a plausible answer. Well, I think we start with the pillars. Always the pillars, you know," he replied with a nervous smile. Miguel frowned for a moment, but then smiled. "Interesting. I never thought in those terms. Pillars, very philosophical." "Yeah, I'm a big fan of operational philosophy," Anna improvised, internally hoping he wouldn't ask for more explanations. While they were talking, Beatriz Núñez, the branch manager, watched them from afar. She couldn't hide her irritation. "Something isn't right with this woman," she muttered to herself, her eyes half closed. "Since when does Clara Martins make jokes at meetings?" In the next room, Anna tried to hide her tension while Miguel explained the schedule for the next month. "And of course, we will have a meeting with investors next week. Your strategic vision will be fundamental," he said with sincere admiration. "Of course, strategic vision. A classic," replied Anna, pretending to write something down in an empty notebook. Miguel's smile only grew, and that made her even more uncomfortable. Why did he look so delighted? Beatrice entered the room abruptly, forcing a smile. "Am I interrupting something?" he asked, crossing his arms. "Actually, we were just adjusting the pillars," Anna replied, trying to sound confident. Beatrice raised an eyebrow, but before she could say something sarcastic, Miguel intervened. "Mrs. Martins has a unique approach. I think this will change a lot of things here." "I'm sure so," said Beatrice, with a smile that was as sweet as it was fake. As he left, he muttered under his breath, "I'll find out what you're hiding, imposter." When the meeting ended, Miguel accompanied Anna to the exit. "You know, your laid-back style is inspiring. I think we need that in the company." "Thank you," Anna replied with a forced smile. But as he walked to the hotel, the weight of the lie began to pile up. "How much longer can I keep up this charade?" she asked herself, at the same time as she noticed the sparkle in Miguel's eyes, as if he believed her every word. Dinner that night seemed casual, but Anna felt the weight of Miguel's gaze on her as she leafed through the menu. "So, Mrs. Martins, what does a CEO like you do to relax after such a busy day?" he asked, resting his chin in his hand. Anna swallowed hard, trying to appear relaxed. You know, simple things. Read reports, organize strategies, and watch series on Netflix," he replied with a nervous laugh. Miguel raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. "Series? I didn't expect you to have time for this. Any favorites?" "Well, I like shows that involve leadership and problem-solving," he said, trying to sound convincing. Miguel nodded, but his smile showed that he was still intrigued. Anna knew she needed to change the subject. "And you, Miguel? What do you like to do when you're not at the company?" he asked, forcing a smile. He sat back in his chair, relaxing. "Traveling, mainly. But I confess that I haven't found a good company for this in a while." Anna felt her face heat up. "I understand. Traveling is always more interesting with good company." The two exchanged a look that lasted longer than expected. Anna looked away from the menu but felt the atmosphere change. The conversation continued, alternating between laughter and more serious moments. Miguel seemed genuinely interested in knowing more about her, and Anna felt torn between the discomfort of being lied to and the pleasure of his company. Meanwhile, Beatrice worked late at the branch headquarters. She analyzed documents and records, looking for anything that could expose Anna. "Who are you really, Anna?" she murmured, her eyes fixed on the computer screen. The answer to his question arrived the next day. Beatrice, after countless attempts, managed to get direct contact with Clara Martins, the real CEO. On the phone, he explained with false sweetness, "Mrs. Martins, I think something strange is happening in Barcelona. Someone is using your name." Clara was silent for a moment before responding. "I am on my way. This will be resolved immediately." The next morning, Ana and Miguel worked together to prepare reports for the audit. "If we continue at this pace, we will be the first in the corporation to achieve international certification," said Miguel, with sincere enthusiasm. "That's great," Ana replied, although inside she knew that that moment of conquest was about to fall apart. The morning of the audit began with the buzz typical of a large corporate event. Employees were attentive to the smallest details, adjusting documents and preparing presentations. Ana tried hard to appear confident, but her mind was racing. "I shouldn't even be here," he thought, as he looked over the last notes that Miguel had given him. "Relax, Ana. I mean, Mrs. Martins," said Miguel with a comforting smile. "You have this under control." "Of course," she replied, trying to sound confident. But inside, she felt like every word of support from him was an extra weight on her conscience. Miguel's sincere smile was a reminder that he trusted her, and that made the situation even more complicated. The international auditors arrived at exactly 9 a.m., and the atmosphere was completely silent. Ana greeted them at the entrance to the conference room, while Miguel presented the day's agenda. "It's now or never," she muttered to herself, adjusting the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to welcome you here today," Ana began, her voice firm despite her nervousness. "We are here to demonstrate not only our commitment to quality, but also our innovation and integrity." As she spoke, she felt the eyes of the auditors fixed on her. To his surprise, he was able to conduct the presentation fluently, highlighting the key points he had memorized. "Quality is like good coffee. It needs to be strong, consistent, and appreciated by everyone," he said, eliciting slight smiles. Beatrice watched everything from the corner of the room, clearly irritated by Ana's confident performance. Beside her, the real Clara Martins entered silently, following the presentation with an unwavering expression. Beatrice whispered, "At any moment she's going to fall." But Ana didn't fall. On the contrary, his presentation was so convincing that the auditors applauded at the end. "Congratulations, Mrs. Martins. This is, without a doubt, one of the best performances we've seen this year," said one of them, shaking her hand enthusiastically. At that moment, Clara took a step forward, her presence catching the attention of everyone in the room. "By the way, I am Clara Martins, the real CEO of the company," he announced. The room fell into absolute silence, and Ana felt her world collapse. Miguel looked at Ana, confused, while Beatrice smiled with satisfaction. Ana opened her mouth to speak, but Clara raised her hand. "Please let me finish. I just want to say that I have never seen someone represent my company with as much passion and competence as Ana Torres did today." The statement shocked everyone in the room. Clara turned to the auditors and added, "What you witnessed today is the true essence of what we seek in leadership. I approve of every word spoken here." Ana could barely hold back her tears, torn between relief and embarrassment. "As for my presence here," Clara continued, looking directly at Beatrice, "it was the result of a misunderstanding that has now been resolved. And to be clear, Ana will remain on the team, occupying a role that represents her true value." The meeting room was quieter than ever, but the atmosphere seemed to have changed. Clara Martins had finished her speech, and the auditors left the room, still commenting on Ana's presentation. Everyone was waiting for Beatrice's reaction, who remained motionless, her expression hardened. "So that's it," asked Beatrice, finally breaking the silence. "This imposter impersonates you, and you just reward her?" Clara crossed her arms, her gaze sharp as a blade. "Beatrice, leadership is not about who has the title. It's about who steps up when needed. Anna proved to be more of a leader in just a few days than you were in the entire time you were here." Beatrice snorted, gathered up her belongings, and in a final act of pride declared, "I hope you like the mess you're creating. I leave on my own before they decide to do it for me." And with that, he left the room. Anna sat down slowly, trying to absorb everything that had happened. Miguel approached, placing his hand on her shoulder. "You were incredible," he said, with a smile that mixed admiration and relief. "I don't know if amazing is the right word." "I lied, Miguel. I pretended to be someone I'm not," Anna replied, her voice breaking. Clara walked over to her, pulling out a chair to sit next to. "Anna, you didn't pretend to be someone. You were yourself, and that was more than enough." Clara paused, looking her straight in the eyes. "From now on, you are the new manager of the Barcelona branch. You earned this with your talent and courage." Anna blinked in disbelief. "I? Manager?" Clara smiled. "Yes, and I hope he brings the same authenticity to this role that he demonstrated here." Later that same night, Miguel invited Anna to dinner. This time, the atmosphere was less tense, and Anna was finally able to relax. As they talked, Miguel took something out of his pocket, a small silver ring with a simple but elegant design. "I know everything happened quickly, but I want you to know one thing, Anna. None of this is about positions or titles. It's about who you are. And I want to be by your side, whatever your next step is." Anna remained silent, her eyes fixed on the ring, before she began to laugh softly. "You know I'm not CEO, right? I'm just Anna." "Exactly," replied Miguel, "and that's why I want you to be my Anna." With teary eyes, Anna accepted the ring, and the two toasted to the future. In just a few months, Anna became not only the branch's most respected manager, but also a symbol of how courage and authenticity can transform even the biggest mistakes into opportunities for growth.